The girls were getting down. The hair was sweating out, the edges not laid, but it didn't matter. Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and I'm back at it again with another video. And today we are going to be talking about the death of club culture. It's dying, guys, plummeting. POV, it's a Saturday night, you and your friends are ready to go out, let loose, have a night out on the town, and you guys decide to hit up your local hottest club. Hottest in quotation marks. You walk in and either 70% of the people are standing with their backs against the wall, girls seemingly focused on taking pictures, and you have guys ordering bottles, standing in the corner looking like Joe from You. Welcome to 2024. Clubs in 2024 almost always host this environment. And it's becoming a concern for youth. 20-year-olds coming out in droves saying that they don't want to go to the club anymore. They have no desire to go to the club because it's boring. For those who want to go out with self-expression, have a great time, and leave their cares at the door, clubs are not facilitating this place of joy. Clubs are facilitating a place of judgment, sections, bottle culture, terrible DJs, and no dancing. Club culture is not what it used to be, comparative to what we believed it was growing up. So we're going to dive into this today. Like, comment down below. Do you personally think that club culture is dying? Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more commentary content just like this video. And for my music lovers, please go click the link in my description to my Patreon. I'm starting a Patreon where I host my exclusive series, The Album Audit. I go through new album releases, old album releases, recommended releases that you want me to listen to, with pop and R&B at a focus. I promise it's going to be worth it. Quality over here only. Quality only. So exclusive content on Patreon if you want to see full-length reviews, in-depth reviews. And my first one is up now on Normani's anticipated album, Dopamine. So check that out. And I appreciate you guys for joining me over here today. So we're just going to get straight into the commentary. So I know I have some homebodies watching this like, girl, who cares about the club? Well, to set the stage, I want to talk about the appeal of clubbing, right? Is the idea of people coming together in a group, being in a shared space and enjoying infectious music. Moving. I feel like dancing is one of the most freeing and liberating things you can do. And we'll talk about it later, but there's social contexts that made clubs and certain types of clubs so important for social groups. You know, a lot of us spill into clubs to forget about our problems and dance our troubles away. But the club isn't always the answer, guys. It's not always the answer. And it's important that you have someone to talk about your mental health issues, struggles, and events going on in your life and work through them. Well, I would like to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Someone like me, I've always perceived myself to be very good at feeling my emotions as a very sensitive soul. I always thought I have it on lock, but the older I've been getting and becoming an adult with all the changes, you realize certain things that you never knew existed or impacted you, and some deeper issues that I even face with things like self-esteem. Growing up dancing my entire life, I realized how critical I am of myself and the lasting effects that the rigorous training and appearance expectations and comparisons has taken on my mental health, and I've carried a lot of that into my adulthood. And also, as someone who works multiple jobs, I'm a hustler. It's been very hard to keep up with my schedule, and it becomes almost too hard to bear mentally trying to extend myself. It has made me realize that I do need to talk to someone to release these feelings and work through them healthily, not always going to the club and going out and having a time, because your problems are still going to exist when you wake up in the morning. And this is where a platform like BetterHelp has pulled through for me. Well, BetterHelp is here to help you, and it connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful advice. First, you go to their website, you use my link, betterhelp.com/CameronSuzanne. Use that, and you answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will help match you to a professional. Best part is you can do it all from your phone or your computer and in the comfort of your own home via phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. I know therapy is not always something that feels easy to do, and I think it's best that you can be introduced to it and your own comfort level. So let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. So visit betterhelp.com/Cameron Suzanne or choose Cameron Suzanne during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. Again, thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring, and we're going to get right back into our video. And you guys know I love a good deep dive, and when I do these conversations, we have to get to the root of what we're talking about. So we're going to start off with a brief history of clubbing and its importance and staple in social settings and community. The origins of the modern nightclub have roots in the 19th and 20th century, and back in the day, live bands, with roots in ballroom and dance hall. And there was yet another evolution of nightlife in the 30s and 40s, post-prohibition and post-war. You could imagine after the prohibition was lifted, everybody's out, right? Especially the youth. And we really did see a boom in party culture, especially with the advent of disco. We're going to live here a lot in this video. Disco culture found a mainstay in the 70s and was vital in being expressive and for people to find their place. The sheer just infectiousness, the happiness, the upbeat, the liveliness that we often look back when we see the 70s. And then you have different cities, right, popularizing music and also popularizing clubs to host these kinds of music. They all had their own little different nuances and experiences. Quote, hyper-industrialized urban landscapes like Chicago and Detroit, whoop whoop, pioneered house and techno music in the 1980s, right? This further encouraged dance spaces, filling with movement, community, drugs, youth, and letting loose. And the music would just change dependent upon the setting. And in the late 90s, electronic music had a mainstream push and achieved the status of commercialization, which you would often see spill into the clubs, the music that the DJs were playing. And then in the early 2000s, up until about now, the number of nightclubs have been on a pretty steep decline. But club culture, I would say in the early 2000s, was still defined by movement, dancing, and being together in community. People had cell phones, but pre-iPhone. And with the intro of cell phones being readily available and often used, as well as social media, the concern of how the club looked versus how it felt was very noticeable. This idea of going out and wanting to step out to be seen or to show that you're out, but really being out and not fully enjoying yourself and immersing yourself in the moment. So let's dive into how pop culture encouraged movement. I just even think of videos that were going viral of people dancing to, I believe, a Michael Jackson song in the 80s. It was a house party and everybody, like, people were dripping in sweat, y'all. Like, people were getting down. People were having fun. Men and women alike. Like, men were not afraid of looking, quote, feminine. People were dancing, men and women dancing together, people dancing together. The girls were getting down. The hair was sweating out, the edges not laid, but it didn't matter. Because everybody was having fun. They were immersed in the music, and in this video you can clearly see that energy, which is missing today. And I even think about how dancing was embedded in Black American life and culture, which would translate to popular media, popular culture, and would usher in the wave of casual dancers who would fill the club with dance moves that they learned on Soul Train the night before. Soul Train, huge deal, wasn't there. But from what my mom told me and my dad and my extended family, Soul Train was that place that you looked to learn moves. You would see crazy moves, you would see innovative moves, and you would go to the club and people would be really aspiring to create that energy, right? Think of like a Soul Train line. And I think disco's prominent impact on clubbing and club culture is notable. Like, you can't talk about clubbing without talking about the disco. And disco music was literally dance music. Like, how do you listen to a disco song and not move? Emerging from the urban nightlife scene with sound influences that were syncopated with electric pianos, synthesizers, and electric rhythm guitars. The goal of disco, it was like this trance-like state. You were present. You wanted to move. You felt like it was a vibe. And disco also really took heed, again, putting in this social aspect, because disco was almost a counterculture to the 60s with the stigma towards dance music at that time. So people went to the disco and said, I'm about to live my best life and I don't give a damn almost as a statement. Transition of disco to hip hop. If you've ever seen the Get Down, I think they do an awesome job at explaining this shift that was happening between disco and hip hop. You would have these record jockeys, these DJs that would test out records in the club to see if people were going to move and dance to the song.
How about the DJ?
I don't speak English.
You're gonna come back every Thursday night?
I speak Hebrew.
You like it here?
We're having a blast.
How do you like the music?
It's great.
How about you? You're gonna come back from now on? Of course.
If people were not feeling it, if these couple gatekeepers were not feeling it, you weren't gonna make it. Period. And you play it in a social setting to see if people respond, if people are moving. And I don't know if a lot of people do that. And if they do, it's in like a very narrow lens. Like, okay, I'm going to go to the strip club. I'm going to play this, whatever. But I do know recently with Kehlani's song After Hours, she did use the club method to test out her After Hours song. I think she said she went to like a Puerto Rican or Dominican club in New York. And she said that she got the stamp of approval.
Did you give it to the DJ? Did you give him a digital dub plate?
Oh, we did that at the club in the Bronx in New York at a Dominican club. And the Dominicans lost their mind. It was hookah and tequila and Dominicans screaming the song.
She released it with the intention of getting people to get up, move, and dance. And it really did work. So when we go back to the times of like the 70s and the 80s where people were passing records and really trying to get their music played, they're playing in the clubs. You're testing out the song to see how people are reacting. Are they dancing? Are their backs against the wall? Is the song hot or not? And that's how a lot of the times it would be determined. I just wanted to do a brief overview of how clubbing shaped our perceptions of clubs, right? From what we saw in movies to what we have heard to 20-year-olds now who are going to the clubs and are like, it's not that. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, and I want to get into the issue with clubbing now. So, one of the main things that I've noticed is there's hardly proper dance floors due to the invasion of sections. Section culture, right? You pay a good chunk of money to be separate from other club goers, away from the crowd, and you usually get a dedicated server, usually seats, and the privilege to look like and say that you're in the VIP section / you can afford it. It's a flex. People like to be in sections because these clubs get packed, and it also encourages like that sit back, laid back, I'm the man kind of vibe. You have men summoning over girls to their section, especially like these celebrity men. It's serious to be invited to the section. Y'all saw that video where that girl was like, literally, like some girls are like, okay, if I get invited to a section, especially by an affluent man, you need to be keeping it cute. Don't let too loose, right? There's manners. But I'm like, we in a club. Like, I came here to have fun. I'm not going to be sitting on my ass because I'm in somebody's section and I need to look like and remember why I was invited to the damn section. But there's a lot of like these politics going on within the club where people feel like they have to act a certain way or maneuver a certain way to be taken seriously. And even we can talk about bottle service. Bottle culture changed a lot. I don't know if y'all saw the video of, I think it was a Bottle Wars. I think it was in Houston. And there was this video of men buying bottles and pouring them out, like as a contest. I don't know if it was just to prove who has the most money, because I would have been like, I'll take some. But everyone was just standing there. I was like, is this normal? Like, is this just fun and games? Because it was ridiculous. Are we really going to clubs to buy bottles and pour them out to prove something? I must be in a twilight zone.
Okay, so look, I'm in Miami. I'm at Live. We just ordered, it's just 3 or 4 of us. Let me just get 2 bottles. And then dude behind me got a bunch of girls. He orders 8.
Whoa. How much is one bottle?
Anywhere from $450 to $1,000. So 8 grand go this way. So you know me. He look at me like, yeah, get your game up. Let me get 10 bottles. He ordered 8 more. Give me 20 bottles. I looking now. So while the 20s coming here, 1 breaks off and go to him. I spend $50,000. Whatever I was thinking, it didn't work. I didn't get no ladies, nothing. Just wet with minus 50 on the tab.
With sections and for bottle service, you can expect to pay anywhere on average from $300 to $1,000 for a standard bottle service package. And in major cities, popular clubs, you can be paying thousands to get a section and have to reserve them months and months and months ahead. So for example, I did do some research on a popular club called Live to see roughly how much a section costs. So you guys can get an idea of what people are paying to go to a club and sit there and be served. A club Y'all, not a restaurant, a club. So, live table costs by section. Let's go. A dining room table, 8 guests, $1,000 to $1,500. A balcony table, $1,500 to $2,000. Backstage table, $2,000 to $2,500. Main floor table, $2,000 to $2,500. Main floor table large, $4,000. Skybox, $4,000. And the largest package you can get, most expensive, is front stage table, $5,000 to $6,000. Actually insane. And people are paying this. I mean, these are some of the hottest clubs. Granted, when you do get a group, right, you can split, you can do whatever. But like, I know for me, when I'm going to the club, I'm going there to dance and let loose. I'm not necessarily going there just to like sit in a section. That's just not like my vibe. If I'm going to go to a club, I'll just go to a restaurant. So as you can see, with the complexities of sections, I feel like VIP sections have always existed to some capacity. But the way that they overtake the dance floor, the way that they overtake the space of clubs is actually ridiculous. So this is a diagram of the layout for Live. And do you guys see the ridiculous amount of space that does not exist for the dance floor? That's insane. The fact that clubs are not prioritizing spaces for dance floor definitely means we lost the plot to where there's hardly even a dance floor anymore. Because obviously clubs want to make profit. Bottles means profit. Already just paying for a section means profit. Bottle girls get really great tips. And sometimes this leaves very little room for a dance floor. Or then you have the issue of people standing shoulder to shoulder with nowhere to move, fighting for space. There's no space. So when this happens, there's little to no room to talk, interact, and let alone dance. Please. Or people then start buying sections to avoid the little space that they would usually have. Again, facilitating this section culture. Like, you got people that are like, if I don't have a section, I'm not going to the club. I don't want to deal with the stress of not having room to move, standing in line forever for drinks. Dance is never at the focus. Letting loose is hardly ever at the focus. It's just standing, looking cute, maybe getting a little lit, and that's about it. It's like people in sections be looking over everybody like God. Like, okay, pat down, calm down a little bit. Something that totally, to me, ruined club culture. Like mentioned before, people are more concerned with looking like they're having fun than actually having fun because of their phones. Phones. People are concerned to posting to Instagram stories, which is cool. But for some people, that is their focus, right? It's a photo shoot in the club. Put on your heels, put on your dress, pictures, and I'ma sit. Like, that's it. And then you have another crowd who has social anxiety because they're worried they're going to be posted on TikTok and humiliated by wall huggers. Y'all are so judgmental in the club, and it's actually annoying. And there's even some clubs that have a no photo, no videotaping policy. And then you even have people who don't give a fuck, and they're like, okay, I'm enjoying myself unapologetically, owning they're free without concern. And then others around them, their friends are lit, we're having fun. They still get clowned. Like, I don't know if y'all saw, but Beyonce's dance captain was out at the club. She had her dress in like some Jordans or something, like some gym shoes, and she went viral. And someone said like she was dancing like she's scaring the hoes. And this exemplified exactly why people go to public spaces like a club uptight and they don't dance because they're afraid of the fear of judgment. And then you got others who want to genuinely have fun, but it's like, okay, whose story am I going to end up on? And even worse, somebody might post me on TikTok and I go viral for like being lit. Yes, Beyonce's dancer, her video was hilarious. She was kind of hitting that shit. But in the context, like if you watch the video silent, it's a little cringe, but like not enough to me to make it news. Like for people to be like, oh my fucking gosh, like she's so embarrassing. This is horrible. She was kind of hitting it. People aren't used to seeing people dance in the clubs anymore. So it's like second nature. It's why are you moving like that? Why are you dancing? Why are you breaking it down? Because that's what I came to do. Like, I don't understand. And the last point I want to touch on today as to why club culture is so horrible now is the music issue. Pop Culture Channel, y'all, you know we got to talk about music. There's hardly any slow songs played at the club, right? You know how everybody talks about there's like no meaningful connections anymore, like in the club, like guys are just sleazes. It just feels really objectifying. Well, DJs don't facilitate that space either because a lot of clubs don't play slow songs. There's not like, hey, do you want to dance? Hey, you know, can we slow it down and talk for a minute? There's none of that. Or most clubs now, you know, hip hop is technically the most popular genre. Most clubs will play trap because that's like the default. And you're not busting on 1-2 to most trap music. You're not. I mean, I can if I'm lit enough, but you're not. Like, you know. So it seems like DJ's goal is like not to play dance songs, even if it's pop. We're vibing to trap for 4 hours, or we're getting generic pop hits from 2016. Variety is lacking in the music selection in club. There's a club like slash bar that I like to go to a lot, or I did, and this DJ specifically would not take requests. And he would start his sets by saying, no recommendations, don't come up to the booth. He said, quote, for my white girls, don't ask me to play Taylor Swift. And for my black girls, don't ask me to play Sexy Red. That was his statement verbatim. And it's like, he really thinks that music listeners' demographics are that simple. And like, that's all we want to hear, which to me is a very simple and non-diverse way of thinking of music, especially as a DJ in 2024. When music listeners now are more likely to have expanded their music palette. Some DJs, like I said before, are losing their sense of diversity when it comes to the club and what's hot and what's not, or the general perception of their audience. I think TikTok and the quick trends really influence DJs' choices, just like everything else. A lot of DJs have the perception that it's easier because let me just use some trending sounds. Like everyone likes that, right? But it's different like listening to something on TikTok versus something you actually want to move to in the club. And there's a difference between the two. I mean, previously a DJ was someone who sought new music, right? That was a mission to bring to the masses, a gatekeeper of sorts. And I don't know if it's because DJs are also afraid of like being booed again. Also this idea of being posted / humiliated online. Maybe some of these DJs don't really have an ear for music. I don't know if you guys have noticed the pipeline from Instagram model to DJ, but it's like kind of, it's become very frequent, which is very interesting. Does anybody know why that is? Or some of these DJs just don't have a passion for discovery, right? So it turns into this vicious cycle of DJs playing generic, uninspired, redundant music due to laziness and fear of rejection. That's what's irritating about people stepping more into creative spaces now without having passion. Because yeah, like the crowd can be a tough critic, but you don't get in the business of DJing or making music on a visible level or putting yourself in front of a camera like I am without accepting the challenge of being judged and widely critiqued, and sometimes publicly failing. So if some of you DJs who are facilitating these clubs, you're nervous and you don't want to rock the boat too much because you're afraid you'll fail, you're not in the right business. Because the music is the heartbeat to me of a club. And I think the music is failing miserably. Half the time I don't want to go to a club is because the music is horrible. I want to leave immediately. My eye is twitching. Like it irritates me because I love to dance. I love to go out. I love to have fun. But it's just not anymore. And lastly, alcohol consumption is going down in youth, statistically speaking, right? You have more people drinking non-alcoholic beverages, more companies making more non-alcoholic beverages, people and younger folks participating in things like Dry January and it becoming marketed. So now you got more and more people going to the club damn near sober or not drinking as much as they used to because it's not healthy and it's not as fun. So now it just exacerbates all of the issues we see, and you have more social anxiety, you're more aware. So I really think a lot of these factors are affecting clubbing and like why club culture is dying, why people don't want to go to clubs anymore, and why they might not be around in the same capacity as they used to. We just gonna be what? Shaking our hips? Do.
The TikTok fucking hip shakers? Out of your mind.
Somebody had a tweet where they were like, hey girl, like, I saw your man in the club. And she was like, dancing with another girl? She said, no, shaking his hips. You know that like dance they do. I said, oh my gosh, like, not the shaking the hips. At least they're dancing though. But it's just time and time again, you look up, you look around, you see videos at the club. I think there was a video of Drake in Houston like a week or two ago. They were just sitting there. Like no one was doing anything. No one was hype. He was probably afraid they were going to play They Not Like Us, They Not Like Us, They Not Like Us, song of the summer. But the vibes were just not vibing. So let me know what you guys think of clubbing culture. Have you noticed this? Let's talk about it. Let's chat. Comment down below. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more commentary content like this. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description to view my album audit series. You will love it. And thank you BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. My link is in the description. So definitely use that. Treat yourself kindly and have an outlet. So I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.